Pushing the intensity of your workouts is what separates guys who have impressive, attractive physiques to guys who just kind of look like they may be into the fitness, right? When I first started lifting weights, I was doing the standard 4 sets, 12 reps type of thing with no intensity. And because of that, my results were suboptimal. As soon as I learned why and how I should be pushing my sets with intensity until failure, that's when my results sped up rapidly. A lot of guys are training with too much volume and not enough intensity really to build a nice physique that makes women notice, right? So in this video, I'm going to show you why and how training until failure is going to build you that sexy V-taper efficiently as well. So as a foundation, you should know that there's certain muscles that matter more in terms of male physical attractiveness than others. So these are going to be the lats, the shoulders, the upper chest and the abs. Once you start to build these muscles and you're at a low body fat percentage as well, that's going to be that sexy type of physique that girls will be asking to touch you and shit. Like, I can tell you from experience. And the thing is, you don't even have to build a lot of muscle. Like, obviously you want to keep progressively overloading and building more muscle naturally, right? But once you're lean and you've got sort of nice proportions because you focus on these muscles first, you're already going to look better than everybody else. And the more muscle you add on top of that, it just gets a little better and better. Prioritizing those muscles are what gives you a V-taper physique, which looks really good to yourself and looks really good to girls as well. So just choose exercises that work those muscles and put them first in your workout when you're training to failure, right? You're going to realize that there's no squat, bench and deadlift going on. Like, if you want an attractive physique, you have to be training as if you want an attractive physique. 99% of guys who go to the gym are at least partly going to improve their attractiveness, whether they admit it or not. So it's more helpful if you do admit it, because then you can focus on doing things that will actually allow you to reach that goal, instead of, like most guys are doing things that are not allowing them to reach that goal, like not training till failure or doing deadlifts. Like, you can do these things if you want, but you should understand that they're not conducive to getting an attractive physique. And don't get me wrong, you'll definitely still be strong as well when you train until failure in the way that I'm going to explain, right? But you've got the added benefit of actually looking good as well, instead of looking like a big power lifter. I don't know if that's your type of thing, but it's definitely not my type of thing. I mean, for example, a few months ago, I was at a bar and I was dancing with some random girl, and she kept feeling my back, and I like for like 5 minutes straight, and I was thinking, like, at some point I was thinking, what the fuck? So I said to her, like, not in an aggressive way, but in an inquisitive way, I said to her, what are you doing? And she was like, you just feel so strong. Are you an athlete? So those are the type of things that you get when you train in this way. So you have to be lifting weights until failure, because the way your muscles grow optimally is by you subjecting them to enough force so that they have no choice but to get stronger and larger to be able to deal with that force next time. That force is called mechanical tension. So when you're lifting weights, your muscles are producing mechanical tension in order to lift that weight. And then when you get to the point where you can no longer lift that weight, so your muscle can no longer produce enough mechanical tension to lift that weight, that's what we call failure. So after you finish your workout, well, actually not long after you finish that set that produces that effect, your body realizes, oh shit, I wasn't able to generate enough force to lift that weight. So now I need to grow the muscle fibers. I need to grow them stronger and larger so that next time I am able to lift that weight. The further away from failure that you stop your set, the less of a growth stimulus that your body has, because it's not necessary. It's not going to grow muscle if it doesn't need to, because growing muscle is quite metabolically expensive. So the only way that you can force your body to grow muscle basically is by taking your sets until failure and giving it the ultimate growth stimulus. Understanding this is so crucial if you want to build muscle as quickly as possible, and not just as quickly as possible, that's just the one part of it, but reaching your maximum potential for muscle growth. If you're not pushing your sets, you'll never get anywhere close to that. There's a lot of people in the gym that do half-hearted sets. It hurts me to see, like, they're wasting their money, pretty much. They're wasting their money. They're on the gym. I've seen people on the leg extension, right? They're on the phone whilst they're on the leg extension. They're doing leg extensions. They're scrolling at the same time. That's insane. And you're never going to grow muscle to any reasonable extent if you're training like that. Now, because you're taking your sets until failure, there's something else that you have to do, and that's lower the amount of volume that you're doing. It's likely that if you go to the gym currently, you're doing 4 sets, 5 sets, 6 sets per muscle. When you're training till failure, that's not gonna work. You're gonna overtrain. You need to be doing 2 sets, just 2 sets until failure per muscle. You choose an exercise, you do two intense sets on it, and then that's it for that muscle, for that workout. This approach works absolutely amazingly. This is what I've been doing almost since the start. This is what my brothers are doing. This is what my friends are doing. And it works on absolutely everybody, because unless you're a fucking alien, the principles of muscle growth still apply to you, right? Like, unless you think you're special and muscle grows a different way on you, the principles of muscle growth, they apply to every human being on this planet. So this is the way that you're going to maximize that muscle growth. The reason why you should be doing 2 sets when you're training until failure is because you're going to minimize the amount of fatigue that you occur in a session. So that's both CNS fatigue and local fatigue in your muscles. So probably the most substantial reason is to limit the amount of muscle damage that occurs during your sessions. So each set that you do until failure is going to occur a certain amount of muscle damage. That's unavoidable. We need to go to failure to stimulate muscle growth, right? So the muscle damage just comes as part of that. Now, muscle growth is a separate process from muscle damage. The way that muscle growth works, the muscle growth stimulus from the set until failure, each set that you do is about half as effective as you carry on. So one set, your first set until failure for a muscle is the best. And then the second set is about half as effective as that. And then the third set, half as effective as that. So on, right? So you could do 15 sets in a muscle, for a muscle in a workout until failure, and put yourself in hospital, but you'd still get the same amount of muscle growth stimulus from the body as if you just did 4 sets. So the reason that we do just 2 sets is because that's a very good balance between muscle growth stimulus and then limiting the amount of muscle damage, so that we can train frequently with like an upper lower or full body split, for example. And then there's also just a time investment, of course. Like, you can spend 2 hours in the gym doing loads of junk volume, or you can do 45 minutes, 4 days a week, like I do, and build an amazing physique off of that. And then obviously you've got more time to pound girls and shit as well. So that's always a bonus. Now, something else that will actually impact how much muscle you grow and how fast you grow is going to be your rep range. The amount of reps that you're lifting. So when you're doing 2 sets until failure, how many reps should you do until you reach failure? Now, the rep range that I recommend for you is going to be 4 to 8 reps. So you're lifting a weight until failure for either 4 reps or 5 reps, 6 reps, 7 reps, 8 reps until you can't lift it anymore. The reason for this is when you're lifting heavy loads until failure. So if you're doing a weight for 5 reps and you can only get 5 reps with this weight, you can't do a 6 because you'll just fail. That's a massive stress to your body. It has to use basically all the capability that it has to lift that weight. So your nerves, your motor units have to activate as many muscle fibers as possible to lift that weight. And then once they've activated all the muscle fibers, all those muscle fibers can then experience growth because they've all experienced mechanical tension. Realistically, I would say the perfect amount of reps, if you want to get really specific about it, is going to be like 6 reps. If you can do a weight for 6 reps until you reach failure, that's going to be like pretty much perfect in terms of multi-unit recruitment and mechanical tension. But obviously you can't like accurately judge exactly how many reps you're going to get with a weight. So that's why the rep range is there, 4 to 8 reps. As long as you're getting somewhere between there, it's going to be good for your muscle growth. You don't want to go extremely low reps like a powerlifter would, 1, 2 or 3 reps, because your muscles don't have enough time to experience enough mechanical tension. You will still grow muscle technically, just not optimally, because like I said, if you've only done 1 or 2 reps with a weight, even if you go until failure, technically your muscles just haven't had enough time to experience that force, so they don't get as much of a stimulus. And then you don't want to do too many reps because that's going to increase the amount of fatigue that you're going to generate from the set. Like 10 reps for me is a hard limit. I won't go above 8, but you know, I might accidentally put the weight too light and I might get to 10. If I get to 10, I'll just stop the set there, even if I'm not at failure, because once you start to get above 10, 12 plus reps, there's something called calcium ion fatigue. So when you're doing a set until failure, when you're doing many reps, because your muscles keep contracting, you keep producing more and more calcium ions. And those calcium ions, they stay there until you recover from them. So you incur more muscle damage like that, which means you have to wait longer for your next workout, which is obviously not good. You want to be working a muscle frequently, like every 48 to 72 hours, to keep stimulating that muscle growth and therefore grow more muscle. So lift between 4 and 8 reps and you're going to build muscle optimally to get a sexy physique. And also you get to be strong as well as a side effect because you're lifting heavy loads. Like me personally, right? I don't really care about the strength. I just want to look good. But being strong is quite a cool bonus as well. Like for example, I do jiu-jitsu, right? And when I'm doing competition rounds with training partners that weigh 60 pounds more than me, so I'm under 170 pounds right now, let's say 170. And I train with jiu-jitsu partners doing hard rounds, 230 pounds they weigh, 60 pounds more than me. And I can match their strength because I train with heavy loads until failure and my muscles are strong as well as big and strong. So it's cool. You get strong, you get sexy. What's not to like about it? Now, when you're training until failure, a very important aspect is that your form needs to be good. Your form needs to stay the same from the very first rep until the last rep, whether you're doing 4 reps or you're doing 8 reps, your form needs to be good on every single one of them. Some people will say that you can't have good form when you're doing 4 reps. That's ridiculous. If you can have good form when you're doing 20 reps with a light weight, right? Well, there's a weight that, just think about it, there's a weight that you can do 4 reps with good form until you can't do it with good form anymore. If you can no longer lift that weight with good form, that means you've reached failure. That's just a form of failure, right? If you have to start adjusting, start overcompensating with other muscles, then that means you've reached failure. If you're new in the gym, and sometimes if you're not even new in the gym, it's likely that your form isn't even good right now, no matter what weights you're doing, no matter if you're doing 4 reps or 30 reps or whatever. So I'd recommend to record yourself and then analyze it like against YouTube or something, check how you should actually be doing the exercise and make sure that yours looks very clean, very good as well, very consistent throughout the set. For me personally, I've been going to the gym a few years, right? And I analyze my form with such scrutiny, with such intense detail, meticulous detail. I made sure my form was absolutely perfect, so that nobody could say that I didn't have perfect form, right? So for me, it wouldn't matter if I was doing a 1 rep max or if I was doing 100 reps. My form would be the exact same. So once you get to somewhere close to that point, that's where you're gonna stimulate the most muscle growth, because you're gonna be taking the muscles that you actually want to work until failure, doing 4 reps, 5 reps, 6 reps, whatever it is, and that's gonna be the most optimal. The only thing that should change in terms of your reps is gonna be the speed. So your eccentric, which means when you're lowering the weight, should be the same. From the first rep to the last rep until failure, it should be the exact same. Your concentric, when you're lifting the weight, you should focus on moving the weight as powerfully as possible. So the first rep is going to be pretty powerful, right? You have enough energy to lift that weight. As you're going closer and closer to failure, the bar speed or whatever is going to slow. It's going to slow naturally. You're not intentionally making the speed of the reps slower. Your muscles just can't produce enough force, i.e. power, to lift that weight at the same speed as it could at the start. Now, there's also an issue of people misjudging how far away from failure they are. People say they're training until failure, but they're actually like 5 reps away. They're just training until mild discomfort, right? So an exercise that you can do to make sure that you're actually training until failure, like I don't need to use this stuff that often, but I used to do, is that when the reps get a bit slower, right? So that means I'm approaching failure. I'm going to keep pushing until I think I can't carry on. This is at the start, right? So when you're more advanced, you can go until the point where you know you can't get the next rep. That's what I do, because I know, like, I've been training that long until failure for so long. I know that if I do another rep, I won't get it. But at the start, you need to push until the point where you cannot go anymore. So you're going to think, okay, if I don't complete this rep, my mom is going to die. And then see if you can complete the rep. If you can complete the rep, then perfect. Continue, right? If you can't, then okay, you've probably reached failure. But just do like these intense life or death situations in your head where you think to yourself that if I don't do something, then something absolutely horrible is going to happen. And then you're going to see if you're actually at failure or if you're not. In between your sets, be resting 3 minutes, because that's going to allow your energy to recover from lifting heavy loads. And also, don't go past failure. So obviously I'm saying how important it is to reach failure for your muscle growth, but don't go past failure, because there's no extra muscle growth benefit to going past failure, doing assisted reps, doing drop sets, any of this shit. You're just going to increase the amount of muscle damage, which is not optimal. In terms of recovery, what you do in the session is way more important for minimizing your recovery time than what you do out of the session. So that's why we're only doing 2 sets, low volume, so you don't have to spend a week to recover, right? You should probably use a full body or upper lower split, because your muscle growth stimulus, the muscle protein synthesis, lasts around 48 hours after you finish your workout, or after you finish the sets. So you want to train every 48 or 72 hours is fine as well, in order to maximize muscle growth. The more frequency, the more muscle you can grow, because you're hitting it every time it's recovered over and over. I personally do an upper lower split, and it goes upper lower rest. So I'll do my upper day, lower day, rest, and then just repeat that. So every 72 hours, I'm training the muscles, same set, same exercises, everything's growing optimally. People think that your food and your sleep is what minimizes your recovery time, but no, the only thing that minimize your recovery time is occurring less muscle damage. So your food and your sleep is just there to maximize your muscle growth. By that I mean 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight to maximize your muscle protein synthesis, and then your sleep will also, release testosterone, growth hormone, all these nice things, reduce your central nervous system fatigue. So you want to be sleeping minimum 8 hours. I sleep 10 hours. That's going to be better than 8 hours, and way better than 5 hours like everyone else is sleeping like zombies. Most people never even get close to their potential with their physique, because they're just going through the motions in the gym. They're not pushing their sets with intensity. They're also not doing the other things like be disciplined with a diet, be disciplined, going to bed on time, all these things, right? Most people don't even go to the gym for starters. So if you're going to the gym, you're already in the top percentages. And then out of those top percentages, most people don't have their diet in check, with their sleep in check and their training in check. Once you can get all these things like sorted out, it's no surprise that you can build a top 1%. A top 1% physique is not hard to build. It's not hard. You just have to start doing all the things that people aren't doing, and you get that. It's actually so simple. Your mindset changes as well, your confidence, because now you know that you're the type of guy that does hard things to get what they want. It might be a little bit difficult in the moment, but after you've done it, you get the results. Everyone wants things, right? Everyone wants to be fit, be sexy, be attractive, get girls, have money, but they'll never do the things that it takes to get there. Once you've made it your commitment to do the things, the hard things, to get to the goals that you want, you obviously surpass everyone else by miles. And you'll see that it's actually a lot easier to achieve the things that other people think is hard. So specific to this situation, right, to build an attractive physique, people think you have to live in the gym, you have to eat like a fucking dog. I spend 45 minutes in the gym per session, 4 times a week, 5 times a week. Let's say 4 times a week, right? So I'm spending 3 hours a week in the gym. People think you have to spend 3 hours a day in the gym, 7 days a week to build a physique that I have, right? It's never the case. Oftentimes, the guys who are spending 2 hours in the gym have worse physiques than people who train with intelligence. So the return on time investment just isn't there. I mean, there's a term called gym cells, right? Like guys who go to the gym and don't get any girls. Well, I'd say most of the time, these guys don't even have attractive physiques anyway. But let's put that aside. Those are the type of people to spend 2 hours plus in the gym. If you're spending 2 hours in the gym, exhausting yourself, you're drained, how are you even going to get girls? You don't even have time. You're exhausted. You don't want to talk to them. You don't get girls for no reason. You don't snap your fingers. And just because you have a good physique, you get girls. You still have to go and make it happen for yourself. If you've got no time for your social life, for your dating life, because you're spending so much of it in the gym, unnecessarily, I might add, then obviously it's not going to happen for you. And that's where you become a gym cell, I guess. So you don't want to be that type of person. Go to the gym, 45 minutes, in and out, train to failure, get your effective workout in, you get a sexy physique, you have time to go and fucking pound girls. It's all good. So implement the steps I've given you in this video. You're going to see what I'm talking about. If you want more help personally from me, check the top link in the description. That's my community. Get you an attractive physique.